I am doing these videos to bring awareness to cases where people may feel like their loved ones are being forgotten or their stories aren't being told in mainstream media. And my goal is to create a platform where we can um, share those stories to the world and bring awareness to cases that are truly important to people. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Um, thank you to all my new subscribers. I reached my little mini goal of 10 subscribers. I'm super excited. If you are new here and have an interest in true crime stories or unsolved mysteries or missing person cases, particularly involving people of color, please like this video, please share this video, and please subscribe to this channel. So today I am just drinking some water here with some lemon, and I have my favorite ice in the entire world. It's from Wawa's. Their ice is the bomb. It's like, I don't know, hard yet soft and slushy. I don't know. It's just my favorite, and I'm there like 2 or 3 times a week just getting some ice so I can enjoy myself. So today, let's just get right into the story. First, I do want to let you all know that I am doing these videos to bring awareness to cases where people may feel like their loved ones are being forgotten or their stories aren't being told in mainstream media. And my goal is to create a platform where we can share those stories to the world and bring awareness to cases that are truly important to people. So let's just get started. Today's case is about the disappearance of a mom by the name of Joanna Clark and her daughter, Shariece Clark, who ironically disappeared on the same day, but were seen by family and friends at different times on that day. Joanna was a mother to 7 beautiful children. Her oldest is her daughter Shariece, who was 15 years old at the time of her disappearance. Joanna's 6 other children were between the ages of 2 and 10 at the time of Joanna and Sharice's disappearance. Shariece Clark attended Dr. Carter G. Woodson's school in Baltimore, Maryland. Both Joanna and Shariece disappeared from Baltimore, Maryland. Shariece was last seen between 2:30 and 3 o'clock on Saturday, February 4th, 2017, where she had been babysitting her 6 younger siblings at the family residence in the 2800 block of Round Road in the Cherry Hill neighborhood of South Baltimore. At some point on Saturday, February 4th, when Joanna's ex-boyfriend and father to her 6 younger children, Dennis Queen, came by the house, Shariece left. This is according to Dennis. Sharice's cell phone records show activity in the downtown area of Baltimore that evening around 6 p.m., but her friends, nor her family had heard from her. Now, strangely, on the very same night, Joanna was last heard from by her best friend, Jessica. Joanna called Jessica around 10:02 p.m. to pick her up from her date, but later called Jessica back and said she was just going to take the local bus home. Joanna spoke to Jessica as she was arriving home and promised to call her later that evening. This was around 11:15 p.m. Neither Joanna or Shariece were ever seen or heard from again. After getting a phone call from Joanna's cousin and brother looking for Joanna because she had missed a few days of work, Jessica, her best friend, decided to go by Joanna's house to check on her and the kids and see what was going on, because this was definitely not like her at all to miss work. When she got to the apartment, she found the 6 children with Dennis's teenage son. She asked Dennis's son had he seen Joanna, and he said no. Then she asked had he seen Shariece, and he also said no. This, at this point, made Jessica, a little uneasy, and she decided to go to Sharice's school to see if Shariece was in school. Once she got to Sharice's school, school administration told her that Shariece had not been to school on Monday or Tuesday. According to Dennis Queen, the children's father, the night of their disappearance, he was drunk and essentially passed out on the living room floor with the kids, but woke up around 11:15 when he heard someone coming into the house, but he couldn't remember who it was. Now, based on what we already know, I'm assuming, and everyone else is assuming, that that was Joanna walking into the house. Now, what's also interesting is that night, a neighbor says he heard a strange noise that jolted him up out of his sleep. He said it sounded like someone or something was being dragged down the stairs in the apartment building and onto the floor. Now, Queen says he woke up the next morning, which would have been Sunday, and realized that neither Joanna or Shariece were at home. I guess he didn't think anything of it because he did not just, call police or even tell her family or even reach out to anyone to see where they may be. Some reports indicate that Queen claims he and Joanna's friend Jessica reported them missing, but Joanna's best friend Jessica said she filed the missing person report 3 days later after she found out Joanna missed the 2 days of work at Goat's Candy Company, which was not like her at all, and when it was found out that Shariece had not gone to school. Reports also note that missing from the home was $800 that Joanna was saving in order to pay for that month's rent. Now, Dennis, Queen, and Joanna had a very volatile relationship. He met Joanna when Shariece was just a toddler. He was known for not being able to keep a job and was frequently unemployed. Joanna's friends and family alleged that Dennis was stalking and abusing Joanna for years. After Joanna had put him out, he would even break into the family home. She could not essentially get away from him. He would show up at her job, harass her. Joanna's family also said she repeatedly tried to leave him and even got a restraining order against him in September of 2016. Although Dennis claims the restraining order was, quote, false, unquote, I'm not quite sure what that means. He said there were no issues between them. And Joanna, he said there was no domestic violence, nothing. However, the restraining order clearly states something different. I will leave a link below in the description box where you can see a couple of pages of the restraining order yourself. Now, friends and family say that Dennis treated Shariece differently than he treated his biological children, and he was even alleged to have physically abused her. I'm going to insert a clip, actually a photo that I found on Facebook of him and Shariece. It looks like they may be in the bathroom or something. Does she look like she's afraid of him in this picture? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In the restraining order, Joanna indicated that Dennis threatened to, quote, blow her brains out and refused to give back the keys to the family apartment. Dennis was ordered to stay away ultimately, but Joanna, overwhelmed with having to care for 6 small children and work, asked him to return to the home so that he can watch the children while she would go to work. She only allowed Dennis back into the family home out of desperation. She needed someone to watch the kids so she could go to work. This case, it just really got to me because by all accounts, Joanna was a loving, hardworking mother, simply trying to do the right thing. She obviously had hard times, as anyone would, having to take care of 7 children. Excuse me. but she was doing the best that she could to make things work. Her friend Jessica even said she actually enjoyed her job at Goat's Candy Company, where she worked the assembly line making their Cowtails candy. I was once a single mom to only one child, and Lord knows, I just can't imagine having to be a single mom to 7 children ranging from ages 15 to 2 years old, and try to work and try to make sure that they're properly cared for, and, making sure that even Shariece is doing what she's supposed to be doing as a young 15-year-old girl. Shariece was a tremendous help to Joanna. As the oldest child, she would often watch the younger children, but as a result, she was missing way too many days from school, which is also why Joanna felt like she had no other alternative but to ask Dennis to come back and, return to the home so that he can watch the kids. Now, a week before Joanna and Sharice's disappearance, Shariece told her mom that Dennis had made some sort of inappropriate advance towards her. Reports say that Joanna went to immediately have the restraining order extended, and a hearing date was set for February 7th, 2017. Joanna then told Dennis he had to leave and that his belongings would be out on the street. This is the last day that Joanna and Shariece were seen by family and friends. Now, both Joanna and Shariece were very active on social media. Several pictures show them smiling, happy, being silly. Their family and friends say that was just their personalities. They were always, appeared to be happy, always smiling. They do not believe that there is any reason that either one of them would just disappear or vanish. Essentially, Shariece was not having any issues where she felt like she wanted to run away. Joanna was not talking about or contemplating running away. However, since February 4th, their social media accounts have essentially been inactive. There's no activity on them at all. As police began investigating Joanna and Sharice's disappearance, they decided to ask Dennis's brother to take a lie detector test, which he agreed to do. The results of his test came back inconclusive. They also asked Dennis Queen to take a lie detector test, and strangely, or perhaps not so strangely, he refused to take the test. The police have not named Dennis or his brother as suspects in their disappearance and said there is little overt evidence of a crime, but they do suspect foul play in the disappearance of Joanna and Shariece. They believe that something horrible has possibly happened to them. No one has come forward with any information on where the two may be. Now, Dennis initially claimed he had not seen them on the night they disappeared, but then he later said he saw Shariece that Saturday. That Saturday would have been February 4th, 2017. I feel like Dennis knows much more than what he's saying. I mean, Joanna was basically in the process of putting him out at the time she went missing. She had finally had enough. He may have just lost it and done something very horrible, especially if Joanna told him he had to leave, or if he was served with the restraining order papers, or if she had even accused him or told him about the accusation that Shariece had shared with him. Excuse my dog, you guys. It's possible Shariece may have tried to leave the home the day that Dennis came by because she did not like or trust him. If he arrived at the house drunk, perhaps they got into some sort of altercation, or he did something horrible to Shariece and waited for Joanna to return home. And of course, if Joanna realized he had harmed Shariece, he may have felt like he had no choice but to, do something to her. The big question is, what happened to them on that day? I mean, someone has to know something. Dennis's teenage son should be able to shed some light on something. I mean, how did he get to Joanna's house? Did he live there too? When was the last time he saw both of them? Dennis didn't have a job and he didn't have a car, so who brought Dennis's son to Joanna's home that, Sunday or Monday? And why was the son there and Dennis not there? Again, he didn't work, so there really wasn't any reason for him to not be there. I don't think Dennis could have disposed of both Joanna and Sharice's bodies alone. He apparently didn't have a car, like I said, at the time of their disappearance. I mean, he still had 6 other children at the house as well. They had to have seen something, but could possibly have been too young to recall or even understand what they saw. I would think that perhaps they may know something now. I mean, they are still fairly young because this did happen just, 3 short years ago. Dennis claims the last time he saw Joanna was the night she came home, and he was on the living room floor asleep. So what happened after that? Did someone break in? Did she leave out again? She couldn't have disappeared in the house. Joanna's mom, Margaret, is doing everything she can to keep the memory of both Joanna and Shariece alive, and to keep pressure on the police to find the truth about their disappearance. Dennis, on the other hand, said he is not actively looking for them because he doesn't have a car. He said he loves them both and would never harm them, though. He claimed his focus was on getting his 6 children back. Both Margaret and Dennis have been fighting for custody separately of the 6 children who had initially been placed in foster care. According to a recent Facebook post, though, it appears that the children are with Dennis. If that is true, I honestly could vomit because he doesn't work. He doesn't have a car. What are these kids doing? Margaret said that, she put a post up on Facebook that she had been having difficulty communicating with him to even make arrangements to see the grandchildren. And again, this was just as recent as February 6th of this year. She apparently stopped by looking for him to have a conversation with him to establish communication and arrangements for her to be able to see the kids, and he wasn't anywhere to be found. However, she did end up seeing the children. Margaret is absolutely devastated and has essentially lost all hope that Joanna and Shariece will be found alive, but she is hopeful that they will be found. She runs a very active Facebook page, which I will leave in the description box below if you're interested. She also holds visuals in their remembrance to make sure that their names and faces are not forgotten. Margaret, all of Joanna's family, her brother, her cousins, and Joanna's best friend are all pleading with anyone who knows anything about this case to come forward. Joanna's best friend says that every single week she goes to their old apartment where they lived and places missing flyers. She said even when they take them down, she comes back every week and puts another flyer up, just hoping to encourage anyone to come forward if they've seen anything. I'm going to insert a clip now of a flyer showing what Shariece and Joanna would have looked like at the time of their disappearance. Shariece now would be 18 years old and Joanna would be 36 years old. If you know anything about the disappearance or the whereabouts of Joanna and Shariece, please reach out to detectives at 410-396-2100, or you can also reach out to Metro Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. That's 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. Okay, guys, so this is all I have for this story today. This is just like a really sad case. There definitely seems to be an ongoing theme of young women developing relationships with suspect or questionable guys. Honestly, even if Dennis had nothing to do with Joanna and Sharice's disappearance, which I am not certain of, he definitely did not make her life easy. Restraining orders, the inability to keep a job, no vehicle, unable to support his children financially or possibly even physically, because the last time she asked him to watch them or do something, he was there drunk. all have crazy burdens on Joanna, which I'm sure did not make things easy for her. I just really would encourage us to be mindful and careful of who we entertain, like who we put ourselves in contact with. And, even when we're out there doing our thing and trying to figure out who and what and when and where and who we're trying to make contact with these people, please, please, please tell your friends, tell someone that you trust who you're involved with so that at least one person would know. But that's all I have for now, guys. Thank you for watching. Please, please share this video for Margaret's sake and for Joanna and Sharice's sake. We need to keep Joanna and Sharice's story out there. This is not an old case. It's from 2017. I mean, chances are they may not be alive. However, they could be. That would be the ultimate blessing if they are found alive. But please, please, share this story, put, in hopes of encouraging someone who knows something about the whereabouts of Joanna and Shariece to come forward and speak to local law enforcement. That's all I have for today, guys. Thanks. Take care. Bye.